In our last video, we learned about how a software partner should be by your side to help make the training process easy, fun to learn, and an experience that will take the organization to new heights. In our final video, we will be talking about the little details to pay attention to before you go live, as well as the top 3 ways your software provider will work for you to help future-proof the technology. Jeremy, thank you for joining me again today. In almost all of the testimonials I have seen on your website, customers talk about how passionate the team at Open Sky Group is, but they also talk about how you pay attention to the little things, the details. Explain to our audience why paying attention to the details is so important before you go live with a new technology.
It would be a shame to invest so much time and effort into an implementation just to stumble out of the blocks or give people the wrong impression at a go live because you may have missed some of the details. We make sure that we zoom in on those and don't trip over the small things at a go live event. You know, I have a coworker that refers to it as death by 1,000 cuts. You don't want that to happen to you at a go live. And the way that you do that is you do focus on the details. Think about how you're going to transfer your old sales orders or your inventory from the old system to the new system. Details such as that, or even something as simple as racking labels, or, you know, you'd be surprised, but just getting folks signed on to a new system can be incredibly difficult at a go live event. I can't tell you how many times I've heard an IT resource go with a capital P just to get folks signed on to the system with a password at a go live. It's very important to make sure users are completely aware and informed of how to get onto a system, how the new racking labels will work, how your locations are laid out. All of these little minute details make a big difference to get you going at a go live successfully.
Great. So can you give us a short checklist of what to look out for and the role each plays in the successful launch of a new technology?
I like to start with data. You always need to make sure that your data is adequate. You know, every software ultimately is dependent upon the data inside of it. If you put bad data into a system, I guarantee you your results are going to be bad on the other end. And so you want to make sure your data is accurate, it's reliable, and it's something that transfers to your new system. I always recommend check all of your data, check all of your master data, check all of your transactional data. Once you feel comfortable, once you can sleep at night, check it all again. You cannot be careful enough about the data going into your new system. You do not want to stumble over this at a go live. Secondly, your people. Make sure your people know when they're needed, why they're needed, and how they're needed. Make sure they're in the right place and what's expected of them at a go live, what their responsiveness should be, how they're intended to respond, and exactly where they need to be at the right times. I don't want my go live to struggle simply because I didn't have someone to answer a question in the right place. And lastly, checkpoints. Always ensure that you're capable of stopping and making sure everybody's aligned. There's a lot of moving pieces at a go live. A lot of different departments are doing a lot of different things. Don't underestimate the value in just stopping and asking, how's everybody doing? Is everybody aligned? You don't want one department to get too far behind and then the other departments are ultimately impacted. Understand your KPIs going into those checkpoints, make sure you're able to discuss those, and then have a game plan coming out of every checkpoint. I've seen some companies do this every couple hours at a go live event. I see some do it every 4 hours, every shift, just anything to make sure everybody's in alignment and moving in the right direction.
What should you expect from a software provider after going live?
I think a big piece is agility and responsiveness. Number one, you're expecting them to remain reactive to you in a very agile way. You don't want them to be overly structured or too stiff to provide on-cue answers to why something's happening. Many times this may not mean, if something unusual occurs or unexpected, Doesn't necessarily mean that the software needs to change. You don't need to knee jerk and suddenly, adjust something in a go live. It might just require explanation, but you're looking to your software partner to provide that explanation. You're wanting them to answer the questions quickly, responsively, and provide the right direction to your team so they can maintain and sustain this software and not get tripped up over the small things at a go live.
Absolutely. And you've talked about KPIs. So what are the top key indicators to monitor after go live to ensure you are moving in the right direction?
So I think KPIs are going to vary simply based on the type of implementation you're doing or what your business does. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all KPI model. However, what I would recommend is that you're establishing those KPIs before go live. I want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. The mistake I see some companies make is they define a KPI in the fog of war. They're in the midst of a go live suddenly saying what goals they have in terms of meeting productivity expectations. This is something that should be defined really before you've ever gone live. It should be shared with your business, and everybody should be working towards those goals together. We should be working collaboratively to understand what goals you're trying to meet and how we're going to meet those together. I would also add, don't celebrate too early during a go live. A lot of companies have kind of a tendency to throttle volumes at a go live. You may not be accomplishing all your normal volume during the first week. They may cut down orders, they may divert volume, etc. And suddenly everybody starts celebrating because we're going home on time, we're getting things done early. And then week 2 rolls around, they dump all that full volume on you, and suddenly you find yourself really fighting to get caught back up. So make sure you understand what that volume fluctuation looks like and that your business is prepared to handle that. Still celebrate your successes in week 1, but make sure everybody stays prepared for week 2.
So with software changing and getting better all the time, we want to make investments into technology that is not immediately obsolete. And they want to be investing in technology that will take them into the future. So how do we do that?
This really starts with the choice of your technology partners. So we talked earlier about your software partners and how you're going to work with them. Part of that needs to be understanding how they're advancing and how they see the industry advancing overall. Things like artificial intelligence, robotics, automation. What are they looking at in the industry that's going to impact software most? And how are they taking that into account when they're building their software? So understand that, partner correctly, and then work on an upgrade path. Upgrades used to make people scared. They used to make you quiver. Not anymore. Upgrades are commonplace in the industry. You need to be capable of upgrading your software. We have many customers that are upgrading on a regular basis and taking advantage of advancements in the software. I'll have scenarios where I'll read release notes from certain versions and I'll call a customer and say, hey, I saw something that's coming out. This is something you could really take advantage of. You should take this next set of upgrades. And when they do, they're able to roll this out to their business, roll it out effectively, and gain efficiency from that upgrade. And so ultimately, I believe you need to have a team that's dedicated to upgrading or monitoring for upgrades to your software. Have a team that's going to test, do regression testing on your software to understand the impacts, provide some change management to those that are doing the work, and ultimately support your business through an upgrade to help you become more efficient. And finally, don't allow your software to be a deficiency to your business. Your supply chain software can be a business advantage. This can be something that makes you more efficient. It can be something that sets you apart from your competitors. Use it that way. Invest in the software. We're happy to see our customers doing this, and we're happy to be a part of their success.
As we have seen in this series about implementation with Jeremy from Open Sky Group, there are many moving parts that need to join together collaboratively to ensure success, minimal downtime, and minimal disruption to your business as you go live. I hope that you have been taking notes, as I know that there were a lot of great checklists, as well as some key factors that can ensure your next implementation is successful. I want to thank Jeremy, Darcy, and the team over at Open Sky Group for sharing their knowledge with us, letting us in on some of their secret sauce, and giving us a little bit more to think about. I will catch you on the next series of the SC Supply Chain TV.